Greetings and welcome back. Today we are going to study resource utilization for delivery of goods and services. Resource utilization for delivery of goods and services. The subject is public sector governance, policy, and administration. And in studying resource utilization, our focus is on the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to uh, explain the pillars of resource utilization and also the constitutional and statutory objectives of the Public Procurement Asset and Disposal Act. But before we get into the constitutional and statutory objectives, it's important for us to define certain terms like resource utilization. What do we mean by resource utilization? What do we mean by public procurement? What do we mean by asset disposal? We begin with the resource utilization because that is our subtopic. Resource utilization is the efficient and equitable, accountable allocation and management of public funds, materials, human effort, and physical assets to deliver public goods and services. Because when you talk of resource, we are referring to money, resource, materials, human resource, and also physical assets. So resource utilization is the efficient, equitable, and accountable allocation and management of these resources to deliver public goods and services. Because public goods and public services can only be delivered to the citizens when resources are available. You cannot deliver services or goods without materials, without money, without human resource. That's the meaning of resource utilization. Then there is public procurement. Public procurement, on the other hand, is the process by which public entities acquire goods, works, and services using public funds to procure, right? Right from the word procure. It is the process by which public entities, and these public entities could be the national government or county governments or state corporations or constitutional commissions. These commissions, these statutory bodies or corporations or the county government, they may sometimes acquire goods or works or services. If it's a county government may need to acquire services or legal services, or any kind of service, or maybe for the county government or state corporation to operate, they need stationery, they need materials, they need such resources in order to operate. And these materials can only be bought from the private sector. So the public entities acquire these materials, these goods, these works, these services. So the process by which these public entities acquire these materials and goods and services is what we are referring to as public procurement. Then, of course, there is asset disposal, because this is the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. There is asset disposal. Now, asset disposal, on the other hand, is a systematic mechanism through which public entities decommission or transfer or sell or write off unserviceable or obsolete redundant equipment, inventory, or physical stores. Just like in the private sector, when you are running a company, you may have machines or vehicles that you may want to dispose because they are no longer useful or they are obsolete. So you may want to dispose. So that's what we are referring to as asset disposal. So that's the meaning of resource utilization. I've explained the meaning of public procurement and asset disposal. Let's now move to the objectives of PPADA. Objectives. What are the objectives? Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. What are the objectives of this act? This is an act of Parliament. Parliament has enacted a law we are calling Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. It is a parliamentary act. Understand? This act gives effect to Article 227 of the Constitution of Kenya. And one objective, the first objective of this act is to maximize value for money. One, to maximize value for money in public expenditure while avoiding wastefulness. In two words, that is efficiency and economy. Right? Efficiency and economy. That means maximizing value for money in public expenditure while avoiding wastefulness. Avoiding wastefulness speaks to efficiency. Maximizing value for money, that's the meaning of economy. The second objective of the PPADA Act is fairness and competition. Fairness and competition. This act ensures equal opportunity for all qualified suppliers and contractors. Objective number 3 is minimizing corruption, minimizing conflict of interest, and fraud in resource allocation. In two words, that is integrity and transparency. Integrity and transparency means minimizing corruption, conflicts of interest, and fraud in resource allocation. The fourth objective of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act is to establish clear audit trails for public resource usage. In one word, that is the meaning of accountability. Then number 5, the fifth objective is reserving a percentage of public procurement opportunities for local suppliers and affirmative action groups. That is the meaning of social development. Social, let me be specific, social economic development. Social economic development. Social economic development. Reserving, this act ensures that a certain percentage is reserved, a percentage of public procurement opportunities is reserved for the local suppliers and affirmative action groups. So these are 5 key objectives of the PPAD Act, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. We are now going to discuss the pillars of resource utilization under this act. Pillars of resource utilization. Pillars of resource utilization. What are the pillars of resource utilization? The pillars. Now, under the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, the first pillar is mandatory procurement planning. Mandatory procurement planning. Mandatory procurement planning. Public entities cannot utilize resources on ad hoc or unbudgeted items. That is to mean that all procurement of goods and services must be linked to approved annual budgets and also integrated in procurement plans. That's a very strong pillar. As a public entity, you cannot procure goods that have not been budgeted for. There has to be mandatory procurement planning. That is one pillar. The second pillar of resource utilization in the public sector, according to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, is standardized procurement methods. There are standardized procurement methods. Standardized procurement methods. The Act dictates specific method to based on the threshold. There are various methods of procuring. So the Act dictates specific methods based on threshold, based on urgency, based on complexity, and the purpose is to safeguard public funds. For example, we have methods like open tendering, which is the default method to maximize market competition, open tendering. We have another method, which is restricted tendering. Restricted tendering is used for specialized goods or limited suppliers. We have direct tendering or procurement that is used under exceptional emergencies or sole or single source conditions to prevent resource abuse. So there are many methods, request for quotation and low value procurement that is used for smaller operational goods and services under strict financial threshold. So that is a pillar. The Act dictates specific methods that is based on urgency, on complexity of the situation, and also based on threshold. I've given 4 examples of the methods: open tendering, direct procurement, we have restrict tendering, and request for quotations. Now let's proceed to the third pillar, e-procurement. E-procurement. There is e-procurement and digitization. E-procurement and digitization. There is the Act provides for mandatory use of automated procurement systems like the IFMIS and e-tendering portals. The purpose is to enhance transparency, to streamline document exchange, and to reduce human intervention risks. E-procurement. Number 4. Candidates, we are discussing the pillars of resource utilization as per the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. The 4th pillar is lifestyle asset management and disposal. Lifestyle asset management and disposal. Now, resource utilization extends beyond purchasing to managing and decommissioning assets. And here entities must set up an asset disposal committee. All right, entities must set up asset disposal committees to review redundant or unserviceable items every year. That is a requirement. We have also permitted disposal methods which include public auction, tender, trade-in, transfer, in order to transfer to state organs, destruction, and so on. Those are methods of disposing assets as per the Act. So these are 4 key pillars of resource utilization as per the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Now, in closing, we will mention a few institutional oversight bodies. As per the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, we have some key institutional oversight bodies like the public procurement. We have the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. Public Procurement Regulatory Authority is one such body. Public Procurement Regulatory Authority monitors, assesses, and enforces compliance with the PPADA Act across all public entities. Then we have the Public Procurement Review Board, Public Procurement Administrative Review Board. Public Procurement Administrative Review Board is another key institutional body which resolves disputes and appeals that are filed by the aggrieved suppliers or candidates regarding tender awards. 3, accounting officers. We have accounting officers as per the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. These are head of public entities that are tasked with the personal accountability for ensuring funds and assets are legally and prudently managed. 3 important parties. And that's the end of our today's lesson, candidates, in which we have discussed resource utilization for delivery of goods and services. In this lesson, we firstly defined resource utilization. In this lesson, we have also defined public procurement. We have defined asset disposal. Then we have analyzed 5 objectives of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. 1 is in relation to efficiency and economy. Number 2, fairness and competition. Number 3, integrity and transparency. Number 4, accountability. Number 5, socio-economic development. Then we have listed here pillars of resource utilization. We highlighted mandatory procurement planning. Number 2, standardized procurement methods. 4, e-procurement and digitization. Number 4, we have lifestyle asset management. And in closing, we have stated that there are 3 important oversight bodies as per the Act. Public Procurement Regulatory, we have Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. We have also the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board, then accounting officers. Thank you. We'll meet in our next session. Bye.